Hey there, kids. I've been getting a lot of questions about this paper from Friday about these quadratics. So I want you to just watch for a minute and then pause the video and then go back and try it yourself. Okay, because I want you to really watch first so you can get an understanding and then go back and see if you can duplicate. So of course we first solve this by cross multiplying. That's how we solve every one of these proportions, is by cross multiplying. So once we have our thing cross multiplied, now we're going to FOIL or distribute, right? Whatever you've been taught in Algebra 1, how you multiply these two binomials together. Okay, so what the trick is each term has to be multiplied by the other term. Okay, we should get 4 terms that we're then going to combine like terms, which gets us to here. So notice we have a 3x squared on this side and a 1x squared on that side. And we have an x term and we have a number term. So we're going to make a quadratic equation, right? We're going to solve this by making a quadratic, which means we're going to get all of our terms over onto one side. Okay, and we're going to move everything to the side that keeps x squared positive. So 3x squared minus 1x squared is 2x squared. Minus 4 minus 5x is minus 9x. And 1 minus 6 is minus 5. Okay, so this gives us our quadratic. And the one way we're going to solve a quadratic is by factoring. So let's come over here and talk about what it means to factor. And this is not an easy one, unfortunately, because there's a coefficient in front. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the number in front by the number in the back. So 2 times negative 5. Well, that is negative 10, and that goes on the top of our little graphic organizer here. And then the number in the middle, which in this case is negative 9, that will go on the bottom of your graphic organizer. Now your brain needs to think about some things. It needs to think, okay, what numbers multiply to give me negative 10, but at the same time add to give negative 9? Okay, and hopefully you know the only multiples of 10 would be negative 10 and positive 1, right? 5 and 2 don't add up to 9 at all. So negative 10 and positive 1 are your two factors that multiply to give you negative 10, but also add to give negative 9. Okay, and here is the crazy part about this one. Because we had this leading coefficient and we multiplied, right? This is 2 times negative 5 on top. We have to divide by 2 in order to find our factors. Okay, and this is only good and always good when we have a leading coefficient. This is what you do. So now we think in our brains, okay, negative 10 divided by 2, that's negative 5. So x minus 5, 1x minus 5 is a factor. And the other one, 1 does not divide by 2 nicely. So the denominator at your 2 becomes your coefficient, and then the 1 is a positive, so the 1 becomes there. Okay, and there's lots of other videos out there on the internet, on Khan Academy, on all kinds of places that can help you with factoring if you need it and if you care to go learn about it. Because Algebra 2 is going to be extensive when it comes to factoring, and so is pre-cal, and so is calculus. So it's really important that you understand eventually how to solve a quadratic. So now that we've gotten to this point, you take each of your factors and you set them equal to 0 in order to solve for x. Okay, so we'll add 5 to both sides here. X equals positive 5. Or we're going to minus 1 from both sides. 2x equals negative 1 and divide by 2. X equals negative 1/2. So every time we have a quadratic, you're going to get 2 answers, right? It's x to the squared power, so there's 2 answers in a quadratic. And since this is just algebra, we're going to keep both of these answers as good, okay? So pause it and go back and see if you can do all those steps again. So let's look over here at number 4. All right, so here you have your triangle, and you know that it is similar, so we can write our similarity extended proportion. Okay, so remember the first 2 letters here go with the first 2 letters there, right? And that's how we get these things in ratio. The sides that are corresponding are in ratio. So now we're going to replace each of our lengths with their equations. Okay, we're going to replace each of our lengths with their equations. So there we have replace. Now what you want to do is you want to pick two of them. Any two you want to set equal to each other. Okay, any two that you want to set equal. So I'm going to pick these two. These are the ones I'm going to pick myself to cross multiply. Okay, this is a 1n, this is a 1n, this is a 1n, and this is a 4n. So I think I'm pretty good at being able to simplify this one. So let me pick these two right here. So let's see what we get going on. Okay, so once again we're going to cross multiply because that's how we solve each of these proportions. So there I've cross multiplied, and now I'm going to distribute. So this is 4n times n and 4n times 1. Okay, so that's not the same as a FOIL because there's no plus in your 4n, right? It's just 4n. So 4n squared plus 4n equals n squared plus 7n plus 5n plus 35. Okay, so then we can do a little bit of combining like terms over on this side. 7 plus 5, that's 12n plus 35. Okay, so now I notice there's a quadratic, and I'm going to get everything onto the same side as my larger squared term. So I'm bringing everything over to the left side. 4n minus 1n is 3n squared. 4n minus 12n, that's minus 8n, and then minus 35 equals 0. Okay, so here we have this crazy quadratic, and I am looking for, right, my first coefficient is going to be 3n, and my second coefficient is just going to be n. Okay, now the numbers that go here and here have to multiply together to give me negative 35. So that looks like negative 5 and 7, or 7 and negative 5. Right, so I need to arrange these numbers. I need to arrange negative 5 and 7 in my boxes such that when I do my FOIL, my outside and my inside, I get negative 8 as my answer. Okay, so I'm going to try, and I know this is right, I'm going to put my negative 5 here. Okay, because 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Okay, and I'm going to put my plus 7 here, because then I get a plus 7n. So when I combine my plus 7 and my minus 15, that gives me my minus 8. Okay, when I was in school, they taught me how to do this, right? This is called trial and error. So we try different things, and you do your FOIL, and you see if you get the right answer. Okay, so we have 3n plus 7 and n minus 5. So 3n plus 7 equals 0. N minus 5 equals 0. And when I solve the one on the left, I get n equals negative 7/3. Right, you subtract 7 over here and divide by 3, and I get n equals 5. Now, because we're talking about geometry and these are lengths of your sides of your triangle, we're not going to take the negative answer, because we can never have a negative side length for a triangle. So we're going to take n equals 5 as your answer for n. And now that we have n equals 5, we can go back and we can answer the question, how long are all three sides, and what type of triangle is ABC? Right? So you have their equations for each of these, so you can plug them back in there, and then do the applying the Pythagorean theorem. See if a squared plus b squared is greater than, less than, or equal to c squared. Okay, that's how we always classify triangles, is based upon the Pythagorean theorem. How does a squared plus b squared relate to c squared? Okay, and that will help you to solve and figure out what that last question says. So we're going to do more quadratics and more quadratics and more quadratics so that you become more comfortable working with and solving quadratics. I hope this helped.